Funktionslust, the 22nd of October, 2024. What do you do? Why should I care? He likes to pose baseline questions at the risk of sounding ignorant, insulting even. It elicits unpatterned responses, like catching someone off guard. There's a term, Funktionslust, the pleasure taken in doing what you're best at. God had made every living thing from water. To prevent someone from getting it from drinking is a sin. Human immortality can never be achieved, and it is overestimated. It is like saying that you give up your place in paradise by choosing to be immortal here. It is also not achievable because it is not possible. Had death not been possible, there would be no purpose for the afterlife. You are essentially having to choose between living eternity naturally or paying for it. Even if it were possible, it would be unfair to those who cannot afford it. Therefore, it is an immoral and unethical way of living, or even running the world. The Quran says some of them would gladly choose to live 1,000 years. However, even if it were possible, that would not save them from the punishment of the hereafter. People would still be punished, tormented, and made to suffer throughout their earthly lives and their next lives for the sins that they committed in their lives. I would choose to die early, myself, because I do not wish to accumulate more and more sins throughout the years. It is like those who would choose to prolong their lives and live longer would still be getting more sins throughout their years. In fact, they might even be graver sins and severe blasphemies. There's a hadith saying that every year is worse than the year before it. I would imagine that it also pertains to sins, morality, and ethics. Why not live for 1,000 years and do a lot of good deeds? Would you be paying for that form of life? If yes, then it is not a good idea, because those who would be living for 1,000 years would see themselves superior to those who cannot afford to extend their lives. We are already struggling with all sorts of deficient human-human interactions. Some humans who are living the same amount of years as another would not be moral with one another. Do you expect them to be moral with one another if some live for 1,000 years and others cannot afford it? It is not logical even. What good deeds in a world where only a select few can afford the enhancements and others cannot? Anyway, life and death are in the hands of God. If it is your time to die, you will die. Whether you have these enhancements or not, you can't extend life. Interesting assessment. And yes, there would be a lot of assumptions on how things would turn out if extension of lifespan can be achieved. However, it is not always necessarily correct. I think to say that we do not know for sure is a lot more apt on behalf of such. And I totally agree on you when you say that our lives belongs to Allah and Allah decides. However, we do not know what Allah decides upon when our deaths would be. What if you're destined to live another 100 or 1,000 years? Would you still reject the ideas of transhumanism? Yeah, of course, I would reject them. Satan said that he would make humans change God's creation. Humans are God's creation. He created us this way, the way we are, beautiful as we are. Why would we want to change that? Transhumanism is a sin that Satan would be happy about. So yes, I would reject it. I would rather die than make Satan achieve what he wants. Satan is an enemy of all humans. Why would anyone want to add anything to an already perfect creation? Or are our mottos and slogans of "You're beautiful the way you are" going to die off with transhumanism? People would not really be beautiful as they are anymore. They would need to be enhanced to fit in. What marvelous inconsistency! This goes against all that humans have worked for so hard until this point in history. It is against the norm, and it really doesn't fit in with human nature and human historical development as a species. It is a sin.